Hey everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to worship today. If today's your first time with us, here's my hope and prayer. My prayer is that today is not your last time with us. We are in our third and final week of a worship series that we have called the Picture Perfect Family. And here's what I know, all of us are going to be getting together with family very soon, whether that be for Thanksgiving or Christmas. And you will sit down at tables with many family members that you are excited to spend time with. But then there are those people. You know the ones I'm talking about, the ones that seem to have the need to share their opinions about everything, the ones that seem to monopolize the conversation, the ones that seem to be right about everything all the time. And so today we're going to wonder, what do we do about those people?
So you see what I've been telling you. It's nothing like it seems. It's what I've been telling you.
Hey everybody, this week we are wrapping up a series which we are calling the Picture Perfect Family. We thought this would be a great time as the holidays are ahead of us to look forward to the holidays. And here's what I know, Thanksgiving is coming and you are excited to get together with some of your family. There are those family members, I know I have those family members that I am thrilled that I'm going to get to spend some time with. But the truth is, there are some members of my family that I'm not always that excited to see. And I'm guessing that the truth is that it's the same in your family. You see, in every one of our families, we have what I'd call those people. You know what I'm talking about. Those people that are opinionated. Those people that want to make sure that you know everything they know. Those people who have this way of controlling the conversation all the time. They have this way of manipulating things so they can let you know just how right they are. You know the people I'm talking about. You know those people in your family who believe that they are right about everything, and every time you get together, they are going to let you know. I mean, they're right about politics. They're certain they know more than any of those idiots in Washington. They know more than any Harvard-trained lawyer. They know more than any elected official. They know everything about COVID. They have the real sources of the real information. They know the real truth about COVID and what you and I should be doing. They are right about sports. They are quite certain that they know what's all wrong with the Minnesota Vikings. And if they were in charge, they are quite certain they know how they could get the Vikings to the Super Bowl every single year. They are right about the racial tensions in our world. They are right. They know what police officers should be doing. They know what white people should be doing. They know what black people should be doing. They are right about everything. Everything from lawn care to car maintenance to cooking to the stock market. They're right about everything. In my family, I have a character like this in my family. He's right about politics. He's right about government. He's right about sports. He's He's even right about the church. He is more right than I am, or at least he believes he is, because every time we're together, he tells me everything that I'm doing wrong, everything that's wrong with the church, everything that's wrong with organized religion. I've been thinking lately, I would love to have the opportunity to sit down with him and say, you know what? I am so lucky to be related to you. I mean, of the 8 billion people God put on this planet, you appear to be the smartest one of all, and I'm related to you. I mean, you are right about everything. I'd love to be able to say that to him because I don't think, and I think I could, because I don't think he has a clue that he's one of those people. I don't think he does. Thanksgiving is coming, folks. And you're going to be sitting across the table from Uncle Pete or Aunt Lucille, who you will no doubt have differing opinions with. You've blocked them on social media. You're quietly praying that they test positive for COVID so they can't come. But what are you going to do? Doesn't it seem in our world today that it's harder than ever to love those people? It's harder than ever because of all the division, all the tensions in our world. So here's what I want to do with you today. I want to wonder, Thanksgiving is coming, and you're getting anxious, you're getting a little nervous, you're getting a little worried about how it's going to go, because this relative or that relative, those people are going to be there. So here's the question I wonder with you about. What are you going to do about those people? What are you going to do about those people? And here's something that sort of complicates that a bit. When it comes to those people, here's something that's true about me. I'm guessing it's true about you. When it comes to their opinions about this or that, here's what's true. I believe that I'm more right than those people. Those people I butt heads with in my family, I believe I'm more right, that I am more educated, that I have a better stance. My opinions are better. I've done the research. I believe, that I'm more right than they are. And here's what complicates that. So doesn't that make me one of those people too? Doesn't it? Jesus told a story. He told a story about two guys who went to the temple one day. One was right, the other was wrong. One was seen in the eyes of everyone as being right in that community, and the other was seen as being wrong. One was a Pharisee. Pharisees were seen as the rightest people in communities. They were right morally, they were right religiously, they had the right education, they came from the right pedigree. The other man that went to the temple that day was a tax collector. And tax collectors, they were just simply wrong. They had the wrong sort of profession. They were seen as sellouts to the Roman Empire. They were seen as scum who robbed from people. They were just all wrong. They would have heard this story and said, that tax collector doesn't even deserve, he shouldn't be at the temple, better yet be in a story that Jesus tells. There was one man, the Pharisee, he was right. The tax collector was wrong. Jesus tells a story. It goes like this. The Pharisee stood by himself and he prayed, God, I thank you that I am not like other people. He prayed that he's not like those people over there, those robbers, evildoers, adulterers. And as though he's pointing a finger right at the tax collector, he says, or even like this tax collector. I fast twice a week and give a tenth of all I get. And everybody in that community would have nodded their head as they heard that story. Yep, he's right. That tax collector is wrong. Jesus goes on. He says, but the tax collector stood at a distance. He would not even look up to heaven, but beat his breast and said, God, have mercy on me, a sinner. And when everybody heard this part of the story, they would have went, you better beat your breast. Yeah, you are a sinner. Your life is just simply wrong. But listen to what Jesus does. Jesus sort of flips the script on what people believed was right and wrong. Listen to what Jesus says. He says, I tell you that this man, this tax collector that you all believe is wrong, rather than the other, the Pharisee, you all believe is right. I tell you that this man, rather than the other, went home justified before God. And everyone would have said, wait a second, Jesus. I think you've got this all wrong. But Jesus flips the script, and listen to how he does it. He says, for all those who exalt themselves, all those who are proud will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. You see, for Jesus, it seems as though it's not so much about right and wrong as it is about pride and humility. You see, Jesus flips the script. It's not about right and wrong, it's about pride and humility that matter, because here's what I think Jesus knew is true about all of us. Proud people, we don't love well. We believe that we have to be right. Proud people, we don't love all that well. I mean, the truth is, when we believe that we are right, we have to be right all the time, pride is like a monster. It's like an alien of sorts that lives inside our chests, inside our bodies. And when we sit at Thanksgiving dinner, it's that monster, that alien that starts scratching and clawing on the inside of our chest. As Uncle Larry or Aunt Sue or Aunt Betty starts saying things that we disagree with, and that alien starts clawing on the inside of our chests. Have any of you seen the movie Alien? In 1979, it starred Sigourney Weaver. It's the story of this cargo ship, this spaceship, and its crew. They're out in space and they hear a distress call from a distant planet, and they make their way to that distress call, and what they discover is an alien ship. They get on that ship and they discover all these alien eggs. It's a strange story, and there's some altercation that happens on that alien ship, but we never quite know what it is. Later on, they all are back on the cargo ship off in space. They're sitting around the dinner table having dinner when the classic scene from that movie, the scene that everyone remembers that movie for, happens. There's a member of the crew as they're sitting around the table who all of a sudden starts convulsing. Here's a picture. They grab him, they lay him on the table, and that's when, I'm not going to show a picture of this, that's when an alien bursts out of his chest. And here's what I think: pride, when we feel like we need to be right all the time, that pride is like that alien that wants to burst out of our chest. When we're sitting across the table at Thanksgiving from Uncle Pete, who's going off about this or the other thing, and we disagree with him, pride is that alien that wants to burst out of our chest and just let him have it. But the truth about being right, about pride, is you can be right and you can still be wrong. In fact, the truth is this: you can be the rightest person in the room and still be wrong. You can still be wrong because of how you treat the other people in the room. You can still be wrong because of your approach. You see, you can't be right if you aren't loving. You just can't be right if you aren't loving. It's interesting when you look at Jesus' life. Jesus, you would think, would have had people drawn to him who were sort of the rightest people, if you will, the people who had it all together, the Pharisees, the muckety-mucks of that day. You would have thought that they would be the people who are drawn to Jesus. But when you read the stories in the New Testament of Jesus' life, the people who were the least right were the people that were drawn to Jesus. It happened again and again and again. For example, there was that prostitute. She barged in on a meal Jesus was having. He was having a meal with the Pharisees, the ones everyone in the community thought were the rightest of the right. But this woman who had life all wrong, she was a prostitute. She barges in and she anoints Jesus' feet with oil. She washes his feet with her tears. She's sobbing uncontrollably. She dumps perfume on him. And it's that woman that Jesus looks at and says, "Your faith has made you well." Doesn't say that to the Pharisees. He says that to that woman. There's a story of Jesus in a crowd, and there's a tax collector. Everybody hated that tax collector, but Jesus says, "Hey, I'm going to your house today." Jesus is at a well, and he encounters this woman who's been with so many men, she's lost track of how many. And Jesus looks at her and says, "I'm going to give you living water." Have you ever wondered why it is that it was the people in the communities that were the least right that were always drawn to Jesus? The people that were hurting the most, the broken the most. Have you ever wondered why that was? Well, I think it's quite simple. The truth is that the reason they were drawn to him is that Jesus made them feel, he made them feel loved. Jesus, in the last evening he spent with his disciples, he gathered them together for a meal. And Jesus knew that everything was going to go wrong. He knew that Judas was going to betray him. He knew that Peter was going to deny him. He knew that this band of disciples he'd gathered together was anything but a picture-perfect family. He knew everything was going to go wrong, and they were all going to do the wrong things. But Jesus does something shocking in that moment. He shocked every one of those disciples by getting down on his knees. He put a towel around his waist. He filled a basin with water, and he started to do something that only a slave or a servant would do. He began to wash their feet. He washed the feet of these guys who were going to get it all wrong. And then he said to them these words. He said, "My children." He didn't say, "Hey, you idiots." He said, "My children, I will be with you only a little longer. You will look for me, and just as I told the Jews, so I tell you now, where I am going, you cannot come." But then he says some really important words. He says this. He says, "A new command I give you, love one another. As I have loved you, so you must love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples if you love one another." He doesn't say people will know you are my disciples by how right you are. He doesn't say people will know you are my disciples by how you vote or what you post on social media. He doesn't say people will know you are my disciples by how you behave or what you believe or how right you think you are about everything. No, he says people will know that you are my disciples simply by how you love. By how you love. Now, here's what I know. You're sitting at home and you're thinking of Thanksgiving and Aunt Lucille being there or Uncle Pete who drives you nuts. And you're saying, "Pastor, yeah, this is great. I know I'm supposed to love them all, but you've never spent time with us at Thanksgiving. You don't know how crazy he or she can be." I want to say, I get it. I get it. But I want to ask a question. Why is it so hard for us to love the way Jesus loved? Have you ever wondered that? Why is it so hard for us to love as Jesus loved? And I want to suggest it has to do with our starting point. Where we start our relationship with those people we maybe don't see eye to eye with. Because I think for most of us, where we start is here. We start with, "I'm right." And if we start with, "I'm right, they're wrong," well, then I feel, I'm morally superior. I don't just know things that they don't know. I am just simply a superior human being. And if I'm morally superior, well, then it's easy for me to become judgmental. And if I become judgmental, well, then I'm easily angered and offended. And I alienate myself from other people. And the more I alienate myself from other people, well, the more I feel as though I'm right. And the more I feel I'm right, I feel more morally superior, right? And the cycle goes on and on and on. But if you consider yourself a Christian, we have a different a different starting point. If you're not a Christian, well, maybe you don't have to listen to this, but you might, because it might actually help your relationships. You see, if you consider yourself a Christian, we don't start with, I'm right. We start with a different starting point. We start with, I'm forgiven. Because we know we mess up, right? And we have a God who forgives us again and again and again and again. If I know I'm forgiven, well, then I feel a profound sense of gratitude. And if I feel a profound sense of gratitude, well, I'm going to become more accepting of the people around me. And if I'm more accepting, well, I'm going to be overflowing with love. And when I overflow with love, well, it's not just me that feels forgiveness, it's other people that experience forgiveness. And when they feel forgiven, well, they're going to feel profound gratitude. They're going to be more accepting. They're going to overflow with love. And the cycle goes on and on and on. Here's the deal. You're going to get together with family in just a short time. And I want to wonder with you about a couple of things. What if there were a couple of rules that you would follow during your gathering? The rules would look like this. Never raise your voice. Never call names. Never get historical. Never say, hey, Uncle Pete, I remember back in 1979 when you said, don't do that. Never say never or always. Never threaten to leave. And most importantly, never quote your pastor when you're in a family argument. You see, doesn't it seem we live in a world where we're always shouting at each other? We're always shouting at each other from a distance. We're shouting on social media. We're shouting over email. We're shouting by gossiping about that family member who isn't even in the room. We're always hollering at each other. And the truth is, it's incredibly ineffective to shout from a distance. Well, I put it this way. It's incredibly ineffective to shout from a distance, but it's incredibly effective to love up close. So as you gather with your family, as you prepare to have that relative across the table from you, that one who drives you nuts, what if you were to lean in? That son or daughter who maybe doesn't see things the way you see it. You've disagreed about politics, about COVID, about the racial injustice. You've disagreed with them. You believe you are right and you've believed that they are wrong. What if you were to suspend that judgment and just lean in, to get close, to listen, and keep yourself from judging? What if you were to lean in and to love them up close? As we close today, as we close this series, I want to remind you of the whole reason we put this series together. Our premise behind this series was this: there are no perfect families, but perfect was never the goal. Paul gives us the goal that God has for our families. He writes in Colossians these words. He says, therefore, as God's chosen people, holy and dearly loved, clothe yourself with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. Bear with each other and forgive one another. And then he just lays out the goal. Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts, since as members of one body, you were called to peace. The goal God has for our family isn't that we would have the picture-perfect family. The goal is that the peace of Christ would rule in our hearts and in our homes. One more time, folks. There are no perfect families. But folks, for God, perfect was never the goal. Amen.
I can see the clowns is sinking sand. So stomp your feet and clap your hands. Our feet are on the rock. On Christ the solid rock I stand. All other ground is sinking sand. So stomp your feet and clap your hands. Our feet are on the rock. Come on! On Christ the solid rock I stand. All other ground is sinking sand. So stomp your feet and clap your hands. Our feet are on the rock. When I feel the whole world about to break, I will look to your unchanging grace. Let the waters come and the earth give way. I'll be dancing in the rain. When I feel my whole world about to break, I will look to your unchanging grace. Let the waters come and the earth give way. I'll be dancing in the rain. My feet are on the rock. My feet are on the rock. My feet are on the rock.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us for worship today. Please join us in praying the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever and ever. Amen.
Thank you so much for tuning in to worship with us today here at Calvary. If this is your first time with us, here's what I'd like to invite you to do. The best way to get connected, get engaged with us here at church is to sign up for our weekly emails. You can do that by heading out to our website, calvaryalec.org. We'd love for you to sign up for those emails so we could get connected with you. It's the best way for you to find out about all that's going on here at Calvary. Hey, if you're gathered together with family, with friends at home, and you want to keep the conversation going, maybe with your Connect group, you can head out to our website, again, calvaryalec.org, and hit the button that says Discussion Guide. It's a great way to keep the conversation from the message going. All right, if you're ever in the Alexandria community, we would absolutely love for you to join us for in-person worship. We worship twice on Sunday mornings and twice on Wednesday evenings. You can see the schedule on the screen. We'd love for you to join us. We're going to close now with a time of offering. It's because of your incredible generosity that we are able to do just incredible things in our community. Just recently at Halloween, we had 2,200 kids and their families come through our parking lot for a trunk or treat event. We celebrated 26 kids affirming their faith in a confirmation service. All of those kinds of things are possible because of your generosity. So at this time, we're going to pause for a time of offering as we close our service. You can see the different ways you can make your gift. The majority of the people who call Calvary home make their gifts online. So you can do that in a couple of ways. You can go to our website, calvaryalec.org, and hit the Give button. You can make a gift simply by using Venmo, and you see the instructions on the screen there. You can write a check and drop it in the mail, send it to the address, the church address on the screen. Or if you're not quite certain how to make your gift, just give us a call. We'd love to connect with you. Folks, thanks so much for tuning in. Have a great week.